So we're going to be talking about the energetic of today, but in particular, if we think about, like a birth chart for the year, when you do a birth chart in astrology, you do it with there's a birth time, right? It's like the moment in theory the baby takes its first breath is almost like the moment it comes into the world. That's how astrology charts. That's why you really want to try to get as accurate as you can. But we're going to be doing that for this year. And I found it really interesting what was coming through. But before we really get started, I wanted to touch on the numerology of today and the numerology of 2024. So 1-1 in general is a portal. We talked about that at the 11-11 gathering. 0 is the infinite possibility of anything could happen. 1 is the collapsing of the wave function into actually something. So 1-1 is a little bit like 11-11 in that we're coming in, it's showing us that this particular day is an important seeding time, which is why we're gathered right now, is to really seed this circle, regardless of the fact that most people can't be here. I know a lot of people, because we're seeding this during this time because our ancestors knew that just like the lunar cycles held energies, certain days held energies. Which brings us to 2024, which I find fantastic. 2024 reduces to a number 8. And the number 8 in numerology. So first of all, it's a combo of two fours, but it really is talking about, it's almost a Plutonian energy. It's the process of dissolving and transforming into another reality. So 4 is a very materialistically grounded, almost Capricornian energy. The 8 is showing this flow of energy. Turn the 8 on its side, you've got the lemniscate, you've got the infinity symbol, and that's showing the infinite process of transformation. So, and also it's interesting to note that the other thing that's associated with the number 8 is there's an 8-pointed star, which is the compass, which talks about our ability to navigate. And we're going to get into the chart in a little bit. This year is all about our higher senses. And so in general, 8 in numerology is seen as a powerhouse number. And it's about, but also if you look in tarot, you can see that it's a strength card. The strength card this is also going to be a year where we're going to be coming online and being offered opportunities to strengthen who we are, why we're here. But I don't think it's going to feel as challenging or heavy as, say, in the last couple years. I think it's going to feel kind of more curious and natural. So that's kind of just the numerology. And so we're going to go into the astrology chart next. I want to go into the astrology. So the chart is the exactly the first moment of this year. So it was right at, midnight. I have it midnight on January 1st. So when midnight on January 1st, the aspects are the same for everybody. The houses they sit in are different. But if we look at what the big aspects are, well, let's just first start and say, this isn't a forecast for 2024, but there's going to be big shifts. There's going to be big energy in 2024. And one of the things that came to mind when I was tapping into it was the idea of a quantum leap, the idea of beyond linear time and space. And one of the things that's really fascinating about that is it can feel a little scary, but this is why the moment to moment to moment to moment decisions we make, why this seeding time is so important on the first day of this year, is that if we're on that path where our soul is genuinely seeking enlightenment and healing, that quantum leap is going to feel light and easy. If we're not on that path, it's going to feel more like a push or a fall. So this idea of big energy is going to look a lot of different ways this year. So let's get to the chart of what's happening, the major aspects of this first moment of this first year. Much like a birth charts are very malleable. They're a fingerprint that people can do whatever they want to with that energetic, but it also shows us what energies are at play and what we might be able to expect and how we might be able to already orient our consciousness so as to take advantage of what's coming through. So we have the sun in Capricorn trine the moon in Virgo. And this in general means we're going to be invited to use our goodwill, to use our energy for the collective, for others, to create foundations, but these foundations aren't just for ourselves. In a very Moon and Virgo way, they're for ourselves and everybody else around us. And this is going to feel really good because it's almost like that karma of doing energy healing, where when you sign up to be that conduit, you receive that light. So both Capricorn and Virgo, both of those signs are about structure. Capricorn is setting the foundation in place. That's the solid mountain sea goat. Virgo is meticulously, her energetic is going over all the angles, all the alignments of the structure. But both are going to be supporting us in making this is the foundational year, though. It doesn't mean that we're going to be necessarily seeing the actual structure. We're going to be seeing the foundation. We're going to almost have the building plans by the end of the year. And that's going to feel really good. And so Capricorn, cardinal feminine earth, Virgo, mutable feminine earth. They're very simpatico for right now. We're really needing a year where feminine earth energy can come forward. So this is both feminine earth energy. The only thing that's missing here is that, so Capricorn is cardinal, Virgo is mutable. The only other aspect in astrology would be fixed. And that also shows us that this is not a year for us to be fixed about things. This is a year, just like that infinity loop, that lemniscate of the significance of 2024, to flow, to be willing to flow, to be willing to know that the structure and trust the bigger picture. So cardinal signs, Capricorn, they sound the alarm that a new period has arrived. So this is going to mean it's going to be, there will be some doing to be done, what the sun and Cap signals. Mutable signs, Virgo, Moon and Virgo, they have this innate ability to be flexible and adaptable. That's also that lemniscate infinity loop energy. And Virgo's going to bring that also meticulous, it's almost like energetic accountability. So this is great because the trine between the sun, which is our external self, and the moon, our internal self, our ego and our intuition, sun and moon. Trine is supportive energy that's going to help the foundation and the structure and the creation flow easily. So it's going to be not necessarily a lot of work. And then the next thing we have is we have Luna conjunct Black Moon Lilith in Virgo. And real quick, if we remember who Black Moon Lilith is, she's one of those goddesses that's known as, you know, in Hebrew, I think her name means night monster, I think, or something like this. She was known as the evil spirit who cursed pregnancies and ate babies and did all sorts. She's also the woman who refused to submit to Adam in the Bible. She was his peer. She was made out of the same thing he was made out of. So he tried to force himself on her. She fled. Eve is made from Adam's rib. So Black Moon Lilith is this sort of, you know, in the early 1970s, there was an author who published an essay, I think it was in Miss Magazine, and she kind of brought Lilith to the feminist forefront. She talked about her as a female archetype that's self-liberating, a female archetype that's creative. So this is the energy, and that's Lilith and the moon work really well together. But Lilith is almost, if we think about what her significance is in astrology, it's a void. It's a void space. It's not an actual moon. It's not an actual asteroid. It's this energetic bubble, of pocket of a missing piece. So this is going to be the energy of their Lilith is, you know, and when she's feared, it's a very deep repression. If there's anything that's within the collective and within us that is very deeply yearning and needing, it's a soul's journey this year. So the soul, what is it that our soul really wants us to acknowledge? And if we're on this path where we're excavating all the layers of fear, this isn't something to be feared. This is something that's going to feel empowering, and we're going to be supported, is what this year says, in discovering ourselves, who we are, our desires, our autonomy, our soul's purpose, our freedom. So Lilith is really about reclaiming some sort of autonomy. Luna in Virgo, that's about using our intuition, use our energetic sensitivities right now. You know, we have 6 senses. The Egyptians know, we'd say we have hundreds of senses. Using that for the good of all, again, is another theme. Black Moon Lilith in Virgo is about structure, organization, and healing. So here we have the structure coming through again. But this is the beginning of the structure. Very exciting. Don't push it, flow with it, is what the infinity loop says. And when we take all that together, this means that our inner world, our intuition, our energetic knowing is going to help us see the missing piece or move beyond the fear that is possibly most deeply present, so that we're not going to need to freak out. We're going to intuitively know that we can move. So it's a very fortuitous aspect. We also have Mars conjunct the galactic center in Sag. Galactic center doesn't show up in a chart that often. Galactic center is the thing in a cross. If you have a look at the chart, and Mars and Sagittarius, they're very those energies go well together. They're both masculine energies of action. They both desire freedom. They both want forward momentum. Conjunct galactic center means this is going to be a reharmonizing of divine masculine in 2024. So the momentum for the foundation is going to come from the fact that divine masculine and divine feminine are going to start to be able to flow together. We also have Mercury more loosely conjunct the galactic center in Sagittarius, same sign. That's also an energetic that flows well together. Both Mercury and Sag desire communication. With Sagittarius energy, Mercury's type of communication shifts from verbal to energetic. It shifts, but this is the intuitive sense. This is us remembering that we're always communicating, even if we're sitting silent in a room in the middle of nowhere or in a forest. We're always offering a vibration. The conjunction with the galactic center means we're going to be upgrading. There's opportunities for upgrades this year on all our levels of communication. So our verbal and our written, but it's going to be remembering all those other aspects that are coming through. And then the final thing that I think is so fantastic, and I haven't seen in a while, is Luna and Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, that we just kind of went over. They're biquintile Chiron. So if you remember in my podcast, I always like the outer planets. I say the outer planets always win, or the trans-Neptunian objects. They're all about subtle energy. We're moving into times where subtle energy is so important and so powerful. It's like, for those who have eyes to see what's really going on beyond the mundane physical presentation, being able to read, when you can see that what somebody's saying with their mouth is not what they're saying with their energy. This is the subtle energetic. A biquintile in modern astrology, it's an aspect that's really, you don't hear people talk about it. If you read about it, it's often just considered not really important at all, which is why I love it. Because when we think about something that's like pushed to the side and considered not important, I always like to sit there and wonder, what is it actually saying? A biquintile is an aspect that's actually associated. Well, so a biquintile, a quintile is a fifth of a circle. That's 72 degrees. A biquintile is twice a quintile. It's 144 degrees. But when you look at, so if you consider, it's associated with a pentagram. I'll just get to where we're headed here. The pentagram, the five-pointed star, the Vitruvian man, when a human being stands with their feet spread wide and their arms out, we ourselves make the shape of a pentagram. So if you think about your arms extended out, and that's one of the lines of the pentagram. The 144 degrees is the amount of space from, say, your right hand up and over your head to your left hand. So when you have a biquintile in a chart, you're starting to form a pentagram. Interestingly enough, there's this can be used for light or dark energy. Adolf Hitler had a couple biquintiles in his birth chart. So did Satya Sai Baba. So, it's the black and the white magician. Both of those people had biquintiles in their chart. And the more biquintiles you have, the more you start to really fully evoke the energetic of a pentagram. A pentagram is also something not to be feared. It's a sacred geometric circle. It's a circle, it's a five-pointed star, and it's something that's been used for millennia by ancient peoples. So when we think about what that means, it can be protection. It can be the idea of really unseen power. When people are working with the pentagram, they're working with subtle energy beyond the 3D world. So the fact that we have both Luna and Lilith biquintile Chiron signals the emergence of the esoteric powers, the emergence of these subtle energetics, the emergence of all the sixth senses, of this occult wisdom. There's lots of different ways to talk about that, but the fact that this is showing up in this chart on this first moment of this year is showing us that it's good for us to be open to these things. And it's in, one of the things that I want us to start to consider as we move into the meditation is, what do we want to use our superpowers for this year? Because this is a really important year, foundational year, to own what it is that we're up to. So let's go ahead and just briefly kind of drop into a meditation. And one of the questions is, where do you want to go? But really the other thing that I offered is, what do you want to use your superpowers for? And we don't have to do a full meditation, but I think it's worthwhile for us to just take a moment with all that information, if all that's what's up during the first moment of the first breath of the birth of this year. That's really, I find it exhilarating. I find it just that extra dose of, when we're doing all this work in higher dimensions, and then we get the symbol, the bluebird flies by, and we know what the bluebird means, and we know that we know what this means, and we can tell we're in flow. For me, this chart shows us this year is all about leaning into those spaces that we can't see, being that person that is up within our bodies, but up and out of our bodies. So I want us to just kind of invite us to take a few moments here. Let's maybe just close your eyes and let your spine be straight, and take a couple breaths where you can just come into your body, come into the first day of this year, come into how you're vibrating right now, maybe just in general, and maybe in response to all the aspects that are at play. And see if you can feel yourself just almost easier than ever before, both an energetic and a physical body. Feel how you can be both, and you are both. So then just sort of notice how your energy is right now. And as we're sitting at this threshold, 1-1 is a manifestational portal. 2024, number 8, Lemniscate Infinity Loop, is all about that process of transmutation, creating and shifting. So what comes to mind? What comes to your intuition? What comes into your imagination for what you want to create this year? As I mentioned with the biquintile of Luna and Lilith, what do you want to use your superpowers for this year? Superpowers, I mean, all those higher dimensional powers that we're going to really start to be able to use. So just notice what's present for you. And even in the backdrop of also maybe see if you can refine it. How can that, whatever it is that you want to create, how can that be for your good of you and for the good of all? See if you can broaden that vision. See if, even if it's something as simple as a car to drive to work or a house over your head, how could that serve the family or the community? Or maybe it's something broader, even more. Maybe you want to be of service, but see if you can kind of broaden it out a little bit more. Make it bigger. Allow it to tap into that flower of life pattern of the interconnectedness of everything. That's where the rocket booster fuel is. And if it's not a concrete idea, that's okay. And maybe even better, because as I mentioned, a lot of what the astrology is saying is big foundational year, but don't try to build the whole house yet. Let the house build itself, but really work at creating Capricorn, the solid foundation, Virgo, get all those angles and aspects and sacred geometric alignments with the seasons and the directions and everything else that really does matter. And this meditation is going to be a little bit different than most of the usual ones. And I invite you to, in pentagram fashion, when you have a sense of what that might be for you, to say to yourself silently or aloud, and so it is. And with that, I will stop the share and stop the recording and open it up for conversation.